I call this motley gathering of people to order. I'm Judy Lund.
I'm Bob Harding.
Jordan Burson.
I'm James O'Day.
Philip Baker.
Sue Gaducci.
Chris Sewell.
Bob Smith is coming, but he isn't here yet. The minutes. You have all read the minutes, of course.
Sure. Yes.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes.
Second.
Is there any discussion about the minutes tonight?
No, they seem to be in good order.
Sue?
With the exception of, this is DHC, not DHS.
Oh, boy.
If you read the very
Yes.
end.
Absolutely. That's all right. He happens to work for an HS.
And kudos, who pulled these together? You as usual, the final
No,
edit?
they were on the desk.
Oh, well, they're well-done minutes, I thought. And I learned in a recent Fire District 2 meeting that preparing proper minutes are part of Massachusetts open law meeting requirements. So it is very important that we get it right with as detailed as we can. Doesn't have to be verbatim, but, so you're doing a good job, I think.
Thank you.
With all that. It's a lot to look after.
Okay, having commented on the minutes, and we'll call it a scrivener's error, no doubt it was a typo. And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Fine. One down. Okay, so now we have demolition review applications. The first one on my list is 123 Elm Street.
That would be you.
Tell us about
Oh,
it.
wait, Judy, we need to have them come up to the podium and speak into the microphone, because it doesn't get picked up otherwise.
Okay.
Or they could sit in their chairs and take one of these mics.
Well, there's one at the podium
Okay.
that's movable.
We're having a problem with people sitting way back there and then watching the recordings, and we can't really hear everyone.
So, obviously, you guys have the application, so, and I've never been through this before, so please ask questions if I miss anything that you're interested in hearing about. We live in the house at 123 Elm Street, which we purchased at the end of 2018. Now that we've lived there for some time, we realize that, and we kind of realized when we bought it, frankly, that the kitchen area, which is on the far end of the house and was built over a period of years, is really not functional. It's also really not in keeping with the rest of the design of the house. The original house, which fronts onto Elm Street, was built, we believe, in 1863. There were some additions to the house between then and the 1920s, at which point a family renovated the house. And at that time, all of the structures were put in place except for the garage. And we're not touching the garage. But the area where the kitchen is a one-story building. It looks shed-like. It's on a slab. Majority of it is on a slab foundation. And if you look at the pictures, you'll see it really is out of character with the rest of the house. What we would like to do is tear down that section of the house and reorient the kitchen and some of the other, ancillary rooms to the backside of the house and centralize the flow in the house better. As it's currently built, it's sort of like a ship. It starts at one end, and like many New England homes that were built over time, extends down Fremont Street. So the major things that we're looking at are a tear down of that shed-like structure, a reorientation of the kitchen and some additional space to the lawn side of the house. And then in terms of alterations, we propose putting on on the Fremont Street side of the house, a peaked roof where there currently is a flat roof, so that the house looks more in keeping with, well, the rest of the house and the neighborhood. So I think visually, it will fit in better aesthetically and look more like the home that has, a lot of in our view, a lot of historic value, even though it's not on the historic register. We're really focused on keeping the home, yes. We're really focused on keeping the home, I want whatever we do to look like the house has always been there. We don't want a modern addition, we want something that really fits in with the aesthetic of the existing house, again, which is very old. And so we propose to use the same types of finishes in terms of the windows, the shutters, the doors, to be consistent with the house as it was built originally and with the neighborhood. Questions?
Questions? Jamie?
I have some questions and comments.
Sure.
Thank you for the presentation. I've always admired this house, and we looked at this house when it was on the market in
Oh,
2018. You guys were the lucky ones that got it.
Yeah, we were lucky.
So, some other interesting points, and I've always loved on the Elm Street side, the shed roof dormer that has the side window that's
Yeah.
very fun, very clever. I'd actually like to do something like that for a proposed shed dormer on my house someday. And as I mentioned on the online application and comment sections, I don't know if you saw that, but I thanked you for the very comprehensive narrative. We like getting the story behind it all.
Okay.
And your architect's nice presentation and drawing set, so that's hugely
Thank you.
helpful
Thank
for
you.
all of us. I very much think what you're doing is appropriate, and I'm in favor of it. I have one small comment.
Sure.
Throughout the house on the Elm Street and the Fremont side street, you have an architectural theme going on, and it's sort of like a segmented arch.
Yes,
On
yes.
the one porch that seems to have casement windows in it, and the other one, you have a three-bay one. It's like a loggia of sorts.
Right, yes.
So now, of course, you're not within any registered historic district, so there's no real design review for us to perform. You just come before us because you meet the 75-year threshold for
Okay.
review.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is constructive, and your architect did a fabulous job, and I know it was a big job. But is there, and did you think about this, with the new loggia you're putting in front, it's this big wide bit and has columns anchoring either side of it.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if that's a missed opportunity if you don't pick up on these same themes, the three-bay loggia with the segmented arch and the little keystone and the other one. If you were to break up that big yawning gap
Right,
of a
right.
breezeway, it's not a breezeway per se, but I think you know what I mean. And put in, make it a five-bay loggia of sorts.
Right.
That would continue a theme and it would look uninterrupted and look like it has almost always been there. So that's my comment.
That's a great suggestion, because like we said, we do want it to look like it's always been there. And that is one of the features of the house that I really like. In fact, we were thinking about redoing the garage doors, and I thought, well, maybe we can include some kind of arch above that, just so it ties all the way down Fremont Street. But that's not proposed at this point. But that's a really good suggestion, so we can talk to them about
But in
that.
addition to the wonky window that I like.
Yes.
I've always, you always drive by the Fremont side more so than the
Right.
Elm Street side.
Right.
And, I've just driven by it for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And loved it and thought it was a nice gesture, so.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's-
that's my 2 cents.
I appreciate that, that's really nice. Yeah, we love the house, we're thrilled that we live here.
Chris?
Yeah, just a comment, I spent a lot of time in that kitchen that you're gonna
You
tear down,
did.
and it's going to hurt. But
what-
I understand. I
Right.
was in the middle household a lot, and.
Oh, that's
we,
great.
Stopped there for carpool every day for 9 years.
Wow.
And I'm glad the garage is staying. It is a beautiful house, and I really like what your plans are. It's gonna be a tough thing for me to vote to say, yes, you can tear that down. I hope you're doing something with that stove, if it's still there.
Oh, the stove is going to be the centerpiece of the
Oh,
kitchen.
good. Okay,
Yes.
All right.
Yes, as long as nobody objects on the permitting side.
and as long as, that's really good. That makes me happy.
Right,
And I
so,
don't suppose you're gonna be serving bologna sandwiches to any child that comes in, but I can live without that.
you know, I can
Just
get
not-
some if it would help. No, I'm not bribing you.
It was basically, that kitchen was a home for wayward children for many, many years. It was always an open door policy, and I just think it's great that you guys.
I don't think I'd
love
quite
the
call
house.
you a wayward child, but
Did you ask my mother?
Well,
Anyway, I think it's gonna be beautiful. I'm glad you're saving the stove.
Yeah.
out
Well,
of all the sides of that house, the Fremont side house is the one that needs some attention. I spent a lot of time outside the Fremont side of that house, waiting for one of the members of that family to wake up and get in the damn carpool, so that we could get going.
Well, we love hearing the stories about the Biddle family. Obviously, they were beloved and, made so many connections throughout the community. So we actually are thrilled that we're there, and we love to hear the stories. The kitchen, one of the things that attracted me to the house when I saw the pictures and the listing was that stove.
Yep.
And I said, this house is for me. And so, yes, I get the tear down. There's parts of it that it's old, and there's parts of it
Change is hard.
that I would love to just keep every bit of it and make it bigger, but from a practical standpoint
I
of view, it
totally
doesn't make sense,
understand. I
but,
think it looks like it's gonna be very nice.
thank
What
you.
kind of stove is this that we?
It's a 1927 Glenwood gas stove. It's enameled gray and white. It's just a beautiful,
Does it have Queen Anne legs?
yes, yes, it
My
does.
step-grandmother had that same stove, and it stayed with the house forever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's quite a character.
It's beautiful, and we have a lot of fun with it. And we made sure that the architect was very clear that that was going to stay. And really, we wanted that to be the focal point in the kitchen.
Even if it's supplemented by something more useful.
Yeah, we may get a small, induction cooktop, but we've used it for 4 years as
Yeah, it
our
works.
only cooking, and it's fine. So I'm happy to have it and happy to keep
No
it.
stove you buy today will last 90 years.
That's for sure. You're absolutely right about that.
There's a lovely picture of it on Zillow still.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. So,
Anybody else have any comments about this particular house?
If not, I'd make a motion to accept
Thank you.
the applicant's proposal as narrated and proposed at tonight's meeting.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on this issue? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nice job.
Very good. Go to it.
thank you
And
very
some of
much.
us live pretty close to you, so we'll be watching.
Please do, come by and visit.
Okay, 3 Bayview.
I didn't print enough, I'm sorry. I thought it was 6 people, so my apologies.
Oh, that's okay. We can share.
Hi.
Yeah, I don't know if she
Can share.
we all have access to.
Thanks.
We can share. Thank you.
I'm here representing the homeowners, Peter and Laura Baylett. They live in Florida, so they're unable to be at this meeting tonight. They are looking to create a little more space and also return the home back to its original look, as you can see in this picture. So the Shopple design from 1887 is on the Macris website for the state. And then below that is a rendering of what they, how they would like to emulate the design. So they're going to be adding 3 dormers, and they are questioning whether or not it would be okay to do a cable railing because it's low profile, and also the pergola.
Questions?
Sure, I have some questions and
Sure.
comments. From a historical point of view and a design point of view, tell us, refresh my memory, what's up there where you're proposing the cable railing currently? What, is it a,
It's just a traditional white railing.
okay,
Post.
vertical pickets?
Yes, vertical
Yes,
pickets.
Okay. I'll say this, I mean, the beauty of cable or glass is it's a bit see-through. It sort of is invisible, it disappears, which can be a positive thing. It's leans more to the contemporary side.
Agreed.
More so than the historic side of an 1890s little gambrel roofed cottage. I have a less of a problem with the cable railing than I do that proposed pergola.
Okay.
Namely, I'm not opposed to a pergola per se or some protection from the sun at that level, but that needs to be tweaked a bit more.
Okay.
To make it, the posts need to be stronger, I think. The pergola might even follow the ridge line of the roof and give it a peak rather than a
Okay.
flat. It's things like that. It just sort of, as rendered, as you're presenting it to us, it sort of kills the design and it sort of lacks a bit of otherwise elegance that this a sweet little house possesses.
So they're not super tied to doing the pergola. I think because it's undecided, they just wanted me to ask when I was here. So if they decide that they still want to move forward with doing something like that, I can just pass along your comments and then possibly, I don't know if we just email back with you guys or if we should come back in front of.
And those are just my feelings on it. I don't speak for the entire commission. Others can weigh in on it too. But that's my reaction
Okay.
to that.
Well, I have to say, your comment is well placed. It just looks to me out of character. But I don't have to live with it, on the other hand. I only have to look at it. Any other comments?
Sue's got one.
I'm sorry, Sue.
That's okay. You had mentioned that you found it on the Macris website. Do you have a DAR number for it? Because I could not
Yes.
find,
I do. I have it right in here.
and it's not included in the folder in the office, the Form B. There is a Form B-like document in there, or it is a Form B document, but there's no number assigned to it by Mass Historical.
So it is DAR 1362. Actually, the year on the Dartmouth Town website is not accurate, as I believe it says 1902 or 1906, and on here, it actually says 1893.
That's right.
Okay, and I said 1920 because that's what the website I was looking at says.
Right.
I'm gonna go back, and I don't know what it says in the final Form B, but that whole issue with Schoppel's design was just thrown in there by whoever put this together. It doesn't necessarily mean that they were designing that house based on that design necessarily. That became its own,
Are you saying
It's on-
that this picture is not actually of the Bayview house?
correct.
Oh,
It
they,
isn't, but I do have a photograph that was in our folder,
Oh, we have that as well.
the 1915 postcard? Okay,
Yep.
that's what I think is a true representation of what that house looked like, probably
Right.
way earlier on.
It's definitely had its adjustments made over the years.
But you're going to be putting a different roof line up there now, correct?
Just opening up and adding some dormers. The
Okay.
roof line is going to stay the same in the center, and then the three dormers are just where the windows are now. They're just going to be expanded to the gambrel style.
Okay, and that was my other question. We received the photograph with, the renderings with arrows that indicate 1A, B, C, and D, but they didn't, other than the cable, the stainless cable railing, there was no explanation. Is that because the skylights are being removed?
So yes, the skylights are being removed.
Okay.
I see Form B.
That's not the formal version. That was what was in the folder.
Okay.
That's a copy of what was in the folder.
Any other comments?
Just to recap and summarize, the big push on this project is, as I think I quoted you correctly, restoration of historic profile of gambrel roof, meaning, and the 3 additional dormers. So that's it. No re-siding.
We already came in front of the board in December for re-siding and windows.
You looked familiar.
Yes.
That was-
So yes, there is going to be re-siding. The homeowner is moving to, make this a home that they can spend more time in. So in the meantime, they added this additional, so we're back to get the rest of the
Do
approval.
some more.
Yes.
Okay, those are all my questions, I think.
Christina?
Yeah, I saw that there was some holdup with the building department. Is that all straightened out?
After this, it will be.
Okay. So they put a stop on it or something like that.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I make a motion that we accept the demo that's being transported through the commission.
I'd second Philip's motion.
Thank you.
Any further comments?
No comments.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, go to it.
So should I just email about the pergola and go from there?
Judy, how would you like to handle that? If they wanted to do something like that, would that necessitate them coming back one more time for review?
If they do something else, yeah, it's going to.
That's fine. I normally would just agree, to do the peak. However, I know there's been an issue with the neighbors behind, concerned about their view. So in respect to the
sure.
neighbors, we just want to make sure before we add a peak, in their view, that, we look over all the options and possibly they may not even do the pergola.
Yeah, it just looks starkly different. from
Yeah,
the rest
I
of the
actually,
house.
when I look at the photo too, it just looks like a stock pergola to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's what I wanted, even if you do a peak pergola rafter to follow the roof line, I'd like you to come back so we can
Yeah.
see what your proposed columns look like, because those columns look a little on the thin
Right.
side. So we need something a little more custom looking to.
And
to
balanced.
And balanced,
Yep,
sure, yeah.
yep, okay, perfect.
Did we agree to the rail cable railing?
Yeah, I think
We-
so.
we-
I mean, we didn't say they couldn't do it.
We didn't question it. We're really questioning the architecture of the whole pergola as being so out of keeping with,
I just want to be.
Yeah,
clear
no,
that
thank you. I appreciate
we
it.
gave you we gave you a thumbs up to the cable railing.
Okay.
right? Is that your
Yes.
understanding?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It is.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
36 Elm Street.
probably know the home well. I'm Tim. I'm here representing Corey and Hadley Hunter, who live at 36 Elm Street. We're proposing or have applied to do new windows and new siding.
What's your name, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, my name's Tim Howland.
Alan.
The siding would be what material?
It's in kind, white cedar shingles.
But that's like for like, is
Like-
it not?
that's
So
like for
that-
like.
That really isn't our concern.
Well, it is if they're taking it down and doing more than 25% per every.
Not if it's like for like, not if it's cedar shingles.
Right,
If
but,
they're replacing cedar shingles with cedar shingles,
I thought still the 25% rule would
No.
apply.
it's the windows that, I guess, are real concern.
Sorry to interrupt, if you want to go on with your narrative of the things
That's
that you'd
okay,
like
that's
to do.
really it. We'll be doing new windows that are a true divided light to match the 8/8 or 6/6. I think they'll do half screens, so it will be exposed and likely look a little better than the old-fashioned storms that are applied. So, all in all, likely an improvement.
Then if that's, does that finish your?
That's it.
your-
Yep.
Okay, I have some comments.
You want to look at this? Or have you looked at it?
I've seen it already online.
Okay.
Did you go back and look at your online application? I put in some comments on that.
I had not gone to the office today, I'm sorry.
Okay. Two points I wanted to clarify. Throughout, I think it's the northeastern, I get a little turned around if it's true north or a northeastern tilt to things. There's character defining multi-story trellis work on the house.
Yes,
Is
yep.
that going to be respected and restored, or what's part?
They're talking about leaving it to some degree. Quite frankly, we don't think it's a great idea because obviously the nature of that is to encourage vegetation to grow up on it, and that creates moisture issues and could cause problems for the shingles. They like that look. I think to some degree they're going to maintain it aesthetically, but I've advised against growing on it.
Right, but they'll need to pull that down in order to get to the shingles.
Absolutely,
Okay.
that's right, yep.
But in this day and age, there's wonderful synthetic PVC material they're building trellises out of that is not necessarily cedar and that sort of thing. Now, I would agree with you, it does create a moisture issue between the trellis
Yeah.
and the
Yep.
with vegetation growing up there. That is an issue. But again, my thoughts on that is, and I'm glad to hear there, I'd like a little more definition in terms of what they plan on keeping, what percentage of that they're planning on keeping.
Okay, yep.
In order to sort of get my vote.
Yep.
Okay. I strongly think it's a character defining feature of the house.
Yep,
My other point was sort of the bespoke garage doors. They're of a certain period too.
Yes.
You know, they're glazed glass openings and they kind of follow the contour of the segmented arch and that sort of thing.
Yep.
So those are a very nice gesture too. So what were the thoughts on the replacement or?
we're not doing any work to those garage doors, those will
they
remain,
and get
yes.
Restored,
Yeah, they're
obviously.
wonderful.
I'm not sure, we're not going to restore them in this period.
Okay, but they remain. They're
They
not being
remain
touched.
as
Okay.
is, yep.
Yeah, that was a concern I had.
Okay.
Because again, another character defining feature
Yep.
of that building. All right, that's all I have.
Okay.
But could you, I don't know how to really handle this. I'd really like to know more clearly what.
What they're proposing to do with the lattice work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, okay. How about, so you've responded to me in the portal?
I did, yeah.
So I can respond that way once I speak with them to see what they're interested in keeping, and we can go from there?
I think so. Judy, I don't know how else we'd handle it. I don't want to kill the approval of this, but I do sort of want to not let it go either. So, thoughts, Chair?
Oh, yeah, we have a bit of a problem because we either have to say yay or go to public hearing. And if you are sufficiently concerned about this, it means we'll all have to come back within a couple of weeks and discuss
Well, I
this.
am, but I'm just one vote. I could get outvoted by the board. So, you know, it's one of those things.
What do the rest of you think about that? Do we have any idea when that trellis work was put up?
I do not know when that was put up.
Is it in the file? I can go in the back and grab it, the Form B.
Well, that would be, something like that would be difficult to sort of, you know, find out, no building permit on that
We
per
have a
se.
picture
And the
Yeah.
point is that it's a character defining feature of the house.
Yeah.
I went down to that house ages ago with Sandy Hall, and we walked through it and so forth and so on. She's a neighbor who lives right
Yep.
on,
Yeah.
you know. And, you know, it was then that I first sort of discovered it and saw it firsthand. So,
I don't think it's very old.
anyway, that's my experience with it, and you know, it's a fantastic, lovely building. So that's my concern, is
There's
just
no
being a
Form B,
member
I
of the
looked for
historical
it.
commission.
Yeah, I did.
Yep,
Yep, yep.
okay.
So where do we go from that? Do you really want to take a vote of the commission to see whether the rest of the people are happy to have them go at it?
Yeah,
Well, I think that's standard procedure,
Yeah, that's
isn't
the
it?
way we usually do it, yes. So you've made your comment about that.
Yeah, if somebody were to make a motion, I would say the motion could read sort of like, yes, we accept this as proposed, but we do want to have some follow-up from the homeowner and the contractor, that being you, Tim Howland, as to what this is. At least we can follow up with it, and it's in
Okay.
our motion.
And it's clear history, frankly, because we're not, any of us, acknowledging what the history of this lattice work is.
No, but from an architectural design point of view, we're saying it's a character-defining feature, which is as much our role as looking at the history of things, too. So anyway, if anybody, I don't know, I'll make the motion.
I'll make a
Okay, go ahead.
motion that we,
You want me to make the motion?
I'll make the motion, and you can accept the second, and then put your asterisk against what has to be done.
Okay, and then okay, Jordan will record it. You want to go ahead and make the motion then?
I'll make a motion that they go with your plan and leave the lattice as a,
Open item,
yes.
okay.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second?
Okay, any further discussion about the motion or the lattice? Okay, all in favor of the motion as it reads? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm abstaining. I don't really hear very well, and I'm not sure I really understand why we're holding this up.
We're not holding anything up. We're moving ahead with it. Jordan, can you read the motion back to us?
Philip made a motion to
I didn't
approve.
hear it. I'm sorry. You gonna speak up?
Philip made a motion to approve the work to be done. And the DHC is requesting a follow-up from the architect, Mr. Howland, about the status of retaining as much of the lattice work as possible.
Fair enough, yeah.
Okay, so the lattice work is, somebody thinks that's really historic?
I feel it's.
You do? Oh,
I feel it's a
okay,
contributing feature.
I don't happen to agree, but
Yeah,
I'm
that's okay.
outvoted, so I'll vote with the rest of the crowd.
Yeah.
Okay, 6.
I don't think it's historic.
Well, I'm not voting against. I'm voting for the motion now that we.
I am too, yeah.
Okay,
Yes, now that we wrote that into it.
so we're unanimous.
Unanimous.
You did vote, Bob.
I did, yes.
Okay, so we vote unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. 1271 Tucker Road, thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
See you again, no doubt.
Yep.
There's some people who keep turning up.
That don't go away. I'll be back.
And Philip is gone. You might just intercept Philip when he comes back, because I bet he's gone to see what we have in our files on it, around the corner.
Tell Dr. Lund I said hello.
I will.
Right, good evening.
Hi.
My name is Jeff Ramos. I'm from Marshall Building and Remodeling, representing Benjamin Perkins, who lives at 1271 Tucker Road. Our proposal is to replace 9 of his windows, 6 on the front, 3 on the side, with a Majesty wood aluminum-clad window. That's about the extent of it. So it wouldn't require any, we're not touching any of the casing on the outside, any of the siding, none of the outside perimeter of the window gets touched. The grid pattern is going to remain the same. We're using a divided light grid so that it's actually an actual grid. And other than that, I think that's the gist of it.
That sounds pretty cut and dried.
Yes, sir.
Comment. Handsome house,
Yes,
yes. Those read as casement windows.
they are casement windows.
Are they
correct.
operable or fixed?
Right now, they're supposed to be operable, but they don't operate.
Well, the new ones operate.
The new ones will, yes,
Okay, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And the new ones will operate in the same direction as the old ones, and they'll work properly instead of, instead of rusted and corroded as the old ones.
Just looking at the house, it looked like they once were double hung windows, but a long time ago, casements were put in.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's what-
possible,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
possible. Although with a double hung that tall,
Right.
it's difficult, the operation is a difficult thing, and over time, the operation gets more and more difficult, which probably is why they were changed in the first place.
Yeah, aesthetically, I'm not opposed to the casements. I think they look nice on the house.
Yeah.
Even though it is a bit out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
I don't think it's.
Especially with a porch around the corner that has all casements in it, so now it's kind of, it flows right through.
That's that's the only comments I
Okay.
had. yeah.
Any other comments?
I'd like to make a motion to declare 1271 Tucker Road not historic and allow the replacement of 9 windows with aluminum-clad casement windows in the same grid pattern.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? We have to say it's not historic for the purpose of this bylaw, because that's the way the bylaw is written. It's not to say it's not historic, but for the purpose of this vote, we say that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, go to it.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Okay, Reed Road.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Good
My
evening.
name is Anupam Nagpal. I'm the owner of 818 Reed Road. My request to you guys is let me recondition the house and make it livable and not be the eyesore it has been for the longest. And from what I gather, like the previous owner used it as more of a storage or a
Yeah.
junkyard, to the extent that even the Environmental Commission could not go in and see what's what. Now we have cleaned, I took almost like 10 containers of garbage out of there. It's much cleaner. We put like a fence in the front to kind of safeguard from ongoing traffic. And that's what I'm requesting. Yes,
This
that's,
is the septic house, right?
yes, sir.
And
No.
And everybody's looked at this, and
That's my project,
this is yours. Both of these are yours.
yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
The vegetation looked the same, I'm sorry.
It was in bad shape.
Yeah. Like, to the extent that there's a staircase going, I can't even put my foot straight. You have to
Oh.
go like that. And if you go to the file, the previous owner did not even let any building inspector go inside. He was doing what he seemed fit or whatnot. So at least I'll bring it back to the code. And, you know,
So this isn't a demolition, this is
it's a demo in the sense that the whole house is caving in, caving out.
so you're demolishing the whole house?
Yes, sir. But we're maintaining certain parts of the foundation, reinforcing it, raising it 4 feet, you know, making it more stable.
Is this the one here?
yeah.
Yeah. Is the garage involved with this demolition?
Yes, sir. The garage will be attached to the house,
There are plans there in that. Any more comments?
I'll make a motion to allow for the demolition of 818 Reed Road.
Second?
Thank you. Further discussion, anyone? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one. Okay, unanimous. Very good.
See
Thank
that,
you.
packet?
You'd like to see the,
That's what I'm trying to keep them together.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, I'll give you it, I'll give you back anything you gave me. There's that,
yep,
and then these I looked,
it does look as though it's time.
I've looked at these. You can-
Yeah, so you're free to go to it.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay. So the next thing that comes up on our discussion is 1176 Horse Neck Road.
Yes. I feel like there needs to be some explanation.
I think you're right.
Mary, contacted me about doing an addition on the rear of her home. We had done work on her home before, years back. That addition, we started to talk about, we started to send it through the process. I opened a portal on that. In the process of that, before finishing applying for that permit, I didn't want to apply for that permit yet, because what happened was, her kid got tested for lead. His grandchild got tested for lead at a doctor, which triggered an inspection at the home for lead. They located lead at the home. The state, she was trying to get grants, I guess, whatever, to help with that abatement. The state gave her contacts for contractors to take care of that. She used that list, got in touch with a contractor, nothing to do with me, something she separately did, and I told her once you get that.
Fix the plumbing.
What's that?
Fix the plumbing.
Yeah, once she gets it abated, then contact me and I'll pull a permit. In the meantime, the windows on the back of her house are literally falling out. Just falling out of the back of her home where her child is and everything. She said, instead of going forward with the permit, can you just pull a permit for the windows? She said that the company, whoever came in and tore down the de-leaded, actually took down the back half of the house when they were supposed to de-lead, and they said, so I don't know this contractor, I have nothing to do with him. But when I went to go pull a permit, that's when I found out from Dave Brunette that, hey, there was no permit pulled on this, nothing to do with me. So they got in touch with the contractor, the abatement company, and Dave did contact me just to let me know, the update saying, we're gonna just charge him double the fee, permit fee, but they still have to step through this process. So, I don't know if that permit has been, signed off. The problem of them tearing down this building is not my problem. I'm guessing it's been resolved, because I'm here now for my permit, for the windows, for 3 windows on the rear of the home, which will be Anderson windows, and they're gonna be matched the side of the home that's been replaced previously. They're gonna be a white, we propose white vinyl, Anderson, it's gonna be full, not true divided light, but a full applied grill inside, outside, in between glass. She actually, even though she doesn't need to, at earlier stages, she was required to have storm, impact glass and storm protection. But, so she wants to continue that, on those windows on the back of the home. The bay window that you see in the back, there's no air that she gets in from that window. So in that same opening, without changing the opening sizes of that protrusion on the back of the home, that's not visible by the road, right? We're gonna do 2 double hungs in the middle, 2 smaller double hungs, which will actually match her other build out on the side of her home. Instead of a picture window divided light, it's gonna be 2 double hungs in that area.
Do we have pictures of that?
Of the window,
Yeah,
of you have an existing picture. Do you need,
What is the state of what got torn up? It has
that's
been,
gone. Well, there's a building that another company took down.
okay, they took it
They
down.
took down, there was lead on the shingles, so they took down the shingles of the home. She has a child in the home, and if you touch these windows, they're ready to fall out. These needed replacing 30 years ago. So we're just trying to get a safe condition on the back of that home. She does have the intention of going for an addition on the back that we opened a portal on, that we'll have to, go through all the steps of building, historical, and everything to get through. But she ended up finding that she wanted to do a leaching field, even though she's not adding a bedroom or needed to do a leaching field. She just felt, well, this construction's going on, it's a good time. So I believe that just got completed. So we're slowly getting back to the original plan of taking those steps. But right now, before jumping the leap of the big addition, we want to just get some windows secured in her home, in the back of her home. So,
Could I interrupt a second?
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
So this is what was
What
previous.
used to be there when the
And
lead
another,
abatement.
another contractor took all that out, the letting contractor took all that out, and this is what we're living with now, right?
That's correct.
All right, and this, I'm pointing right here to this bay window, this is what you want to remove and put in two paired double-hung windows,
Just
right?
where the pictures look, it's still gonna have the small windows on the side,
Oh,
but it's actually gonna have like 4 of those. It's almost the same
All right,
size.
I understand.
But it'll be 4 of those.
I see.
In the top window, the 2 double hungs at the top, the new addition will interrupt that window. And that is a bed against those windows. So that is actually an awning window that's gonna go in that location. But that's gonna appear with the grills the same as, it's more of a horizontal window. That window is an awning 4-5-1, so it's 4 and 5 and 3/8 wide, the same width as the existing opening.
So you're putting an awning in there to,
Up top,
up top, so you have more room for the headboard of the bed to come under it? Is that the thinking behind
well,
changing?
also the addition of the new proposed addition, we need room for that roof line that's gonna come down as well. So it's kind of a,
Oh, I see. So
There
the
is-
new proposed addition, the roof line comes up above the shadows of that old.
it's gonna go
one we
up
see.
higher than that, yeah.
And
yeah,
encroach into where that existing paired double hung is.
Exactly.
So you need to push that window over a
Well, we
bit.
don't wanna off-center it from the peak.
You do not,
No.
but you want it to be an awning.
Well, we wanna raise that window up. It's still gonna be
I
a
follow you.
2 5/8 window. It'll be a 2-foot window by the same width, but to allow, number one, to allow for a roof line, but also, because there's a bed against that wall. There is, the same size window is that's there on the back side of that photo. And so they still have their original egress bedroom window, the same size as that would be replacing.
Yeah, you have to have a window that you can get out of.
Well, you do, if you change that opening, you can replace a window, so in other words, I'm not sure the 3.3 square feet, I didn't check because it's an existing window in the bedroom. But what I'm saying is the same window size that we're taking out there is the same window that would meet the same requirement as on the other side. There was more of those windows in that room.
Well, we're in a very difficult position with this project, because in truth, we could put a 2-year lien on that property where nothing could be done, because they did all this without any permission whatsoever. But it sounds as though the lead abatement got out of hand, and somehow along the line, nobody bothered to mention to the building department that the lead abatement was going to involve taking down part of the building.
which I'd like to be very clear, has nothing to do with me.
I
Okay, okay,
understand
yeah.
that.
All right,
No,
I just-
I'm talking about that building, not you.
I seem to get caught up in things that are not involved in me. There's just to be noted, because a lot of talk on Elm Street. I know the homeowner just, put in a driveway nothing to do with me, but my Trochex carpentry truck is there every day doing, the interior work, and, I guess somebody put in a driveway that wasn't bonded and, something, so they're having an issue, which also has nothing to do with me.
Well,
It's a
our issue
homeowner.
really is
It's like,
with
oh
the
my God.
owner, who should have been here.
The owner
The owner of 818,
No, 1176.
I'm sorry, 1176. And I thought that
who did you send, because this is sent out in reference to my permit for 3 windows.
Yeah, I think.
This is not pertaining, the permit that he has
But
in
Michelle
process.
told me she would call the owner and discuss this problem with the owner, which is what happens when you don't do it yourself. Michelle is the clerk in town hall.
I spoke to
Did
her
she call,
this
you
morning.
spoke to her, okay,
This
she
morning.
did not talk to the owner. which
Well,
she should have.
I tried, that's what I tried to clear up this morning was, I'm not involved in any of this stuff. All I
Yeah.
need is a permit for a window. I can't even apply for this permit for a window if the other permit closed out, that the other contractor was supposed to reapply for. And that's gonna, I would think, needs to be
That's-
approved and okayed before my permit goes through for 3 windows. So, and then, but this specifically said it was in reference to my permit number, not the other contractor.
The other
That
problem
is
that
actually having,
Dave
is getting
discovered.
through this process. He should be in this process, or the homeowner should be notified. No, I don't think, I have nothing to do with it, you know?
Yeah, well, I
just
realize that
like,
it's not your, it's how we deal with it, not how you deal with it.
Yep.
Because we have a very real problem where an owner went and did something
Well, the
without any permission.
owner didn't. The owner had good intentions to do everything right. She took every step. The state even, gave her contacts and it says in her contract that they were gonna, pull any necessary, permits or right in her contract, because that's the first thing I told her to ask when she had that issue, and I got in touch
Oh,
with
they
her.
did.
I said, in your contract, does it say that any permits or fees are included? Yes, it does. So she's she did her diligence and tried to get it done right, and then somebody didn't do their job and what they were supposed to do, so.
Okay. You start this time.
Okay, from what I was able to see on the website, there were 2 permits pulled before yours. The first one was in December of 2021, and then there was another one which was also William Trojak, and that was February 27th.
It wasn't a permit that was pulled, correct?
It was applied for an application for a permit.
Yeah, so like I said, we started.
So there are 2 that are for William Trojak, and then the one that you applied for was March 26th?
I'm not sure, there's only 2, there's 2 portals I had open, one for the addition, which there was some kind of, we needed something more from Farland Group, from an engineer for that. And that's when the kid got tested for lead. So what happened was, once the kid got tested for, that changed the direction of the job. And just kind of took it in a whole nother direction for a later date. So, but now, I wanted to open a different portal, not continue that yet, and just to get her safe windows that are not ready to fall out of the house. So, we figured we'd do this step, because it would be quicker. But I thought, when I applied, that she said she was all set, everybody was paid, she got a certificate. I said that was, some paperwork saying that it's been abated, that was the most important thing, that we needed that paperwork from the state.
Jamie?
Okay,
I
so is
wasn't
that, oh, I'm
done,
sorry,
but,
go ahead.
Yeah, if we could, we still have not, you have not applied to the commission here yet, because it
For-
was only 3 windows. Is that,
Well, Well,
Right, we haven't done, you haven't done
I
you've done
did
a
a,
residential building permit, but you haven't had to,
You haven't done a
you haven't done a
historical commission?
permit to apply to this commission to have our review, because you said, yes, it was over 75 years older, but you said, no, you weren't going to change more than 25% of anyone.
I don't know if, I don't remember anything about 25% or anything
Yeah.
on a permit application,
Well,
any
that's,
kind of
when I
application.
looked at it, that's what it said.
That's what it said.
On, where does it say that? Where are you referencing? From what?
On the town
The
website.
website on the application, and there are questions, and one of them, what triggers whether you have to apply to historic is, A, is it 75 years or older? And the answer was yes, and the other was more than 25% being changed. And that answer was no. And originally, we thought it was just that it was the addition, and so clearly it was more than 25%. And so that's why we're like, you know,
So
how is. so-
confusion between
Because we
the
didn't hear
two.
anything about the 3 windows.
But this, because you didn't hear about it, but this
It just said addition.
paperwork references a specific permit, which is just for 3 windows.
Is that 23-240?
Whatever, this, let me
I'm
take a
just
look.
trying to follow the paper trail.
Yeah,
Because I didn't see anything about the 3 windows. That might have been me overlooking it.
I
but
think that's-
this
definitely-
is the paper that referenced a certain permit number, so. and that-
151.
and that-
Okay, so that was the second one.
Right,
Yeah,
so that
but that's
application
not a
is,
historic application.
Right, that's a residential building permit
okay,
application.
right,
So then there was another one pulled on March 26th by Steve Pacheco.
yeah, that's nothing to do with me. So,
What's
I
Steve
don't know.
Pacheco doing?
That's who I thought you
That's-
were, and that's what I thought we were discussing.
Steve Pacheco, I believe now, it sounds, did I write his name
He
down?
the guy who,
Yes, it
Tore the
sounds
house
like,
down?
it sounds, I don't have it written down, but I believe that is the guy, he's from Acushnet, I think she said, is Steve Pacheco.
So are you,
William Trojak.
okay, so you had the first 2 residential building permits, one in 2021 and the other one in February 2023.
Applications,
Applications, sorry,
applications, yeah,
that you
yeah.
just showed me. There was
those are
another
building
one.
department applications, not historical. We're historical.
Yeah, but so when it comes to historical, anything that's required from the portal is, I mean, normally, I don't go to historical until it triggers to here. You tell me what's required, I fill out, that's normally how I do it. When it's required, something's required, because the town triggers it through there, anything
Well,
like
the,
that,
the
then,
system has somewhat changed. And what Chris is pointing out is exactly that. When you wrote down no in the second box, then we didn't see it.
I don't believe that he wrote down no in the second box. Steve Pacheco did. So that he would, so,
that's his
which means that it will not, I just happened to see it. If they write yes on 75 and 25, then our historic commission has to sign off on
Yeah.
it to go to the next step. If you say no to one of those 2 questions, our name doesn't come up, and that's
Yes.
totally up to them. So that's how Steve Pacheco has avoided our attention at this point.
If in fact he
If that's
did
what's
it
going on.
intentionally.
Right, well, I'm just saying that's how it is
Yeah,
not
but that's
on our
why we're in this
radar.
mess.
But
Yeah.
I went back looking because I just wanted to see what the building applications were, and I found your 2, but the third one was not like the others, as they say. So that's why I was confused, and that's why I thought that you were the latest application, but you're not. You're only the second out of 3. Okay.
Yeah, Jamie
But
next,
not for
Jamie
3
next wanted to
windows,
speak.
is it? Is it for
3
the
windows, that's all I'm
addition?
looking. The addition, no, the addition's separate, when we're
Yep.
gonna take those
now I
steps.
understand that.
But right now, we're looking for safety for the child, because things are, they're just falling out. And we couldn't touch them before because they had lead on them for a year, till they finally got abated. And now we can touch them, we just wanna get the house secure. It's pretty bad, those sashes and area, all of them are really bad, especially the second floor.
Yep,
So
Chris
you-
finish, yeah.
So you don't know why Steve Pacheco took out applied again, less than a month after your second?
Oh, yeah, I do, because when I applied for my permit for my windows, that's when I found out from Dave Brunette that there was no permit pulled for that building. So he got in touch with Steve, Dave, and told Steve, this, come down, I don't know what he told Steve, because but from what I'm aware of, he told Steve to come down, and, or he came down the next morning, I think Dave told me, he said he came down, and I had a meeting with the commission, and we said, what are we gonna do about this? And they said, if you pay double the permit fee, that'll get you through us, but you still have to get through his Board of Health and historical because of the lead and because of the home, its age, or whatever. So, as far as I'm concerned, he was the one that's supposed to be in here getting
Yeah.
this resolved. And I don't know who this is, never met him, never spoke with him.
And it's a separate, different issue from the windows.
Well, it is, but it's something that I can't get a permit until he resolves this. So it's just a holdup right now.
Strains the deal.
It's just a holdup for 3 windows, and we're not really gonna side that wall because we wanna put the roof and the flashings, and everything on that. So that's another, thing I just make you guys aware of, that we wanna just get windows in there secure and go right to a permit for an addition and take all the right steps. We've been trying to take all the right steps. I've been trying to take all the right steps. She's been trying to take all the right steps. It just seems a contractor got in there that she thought was reputable because they got recommended by the state. Her contract was professional and stated that things were gonna be taken care of. So
They violated their
unfortunate.
contract.
She's taken a lot of unfortunate things, one after the other, it's not her fault, the lead or that, it's poor things, go through a lot for her, to try to get through it, and it's on the back side of the home, as far as historic wise, right? It's not even visible by the road, that part of the house is not, 80 years old, like the original part of the
Yeah,
house.
that doesn't matter,
Okay,
as long as any part of the house, then you have to do this.
yeah,
And
I understand, but I
and
just wanted to make you guys aware.
there are other ways that an opening in the outer envelope could be covered to protect the child, even if we're tacking baby gates up against the window from the inside, until such time as this whole thing gets settled. And I think this whole thing needs to get settled. You're here, but you don't even have an application with us, so.
Yes, I
it's-
did. I dropped that off with the pictures and everything for my work, yep.
Yeah, but you did it with the building department, not
Oh,
with
no,
this.
with historical as well.
When did you do that?
I just got the email I just found out about this meeting on Saturday morning.
That's too late to do it. You have to.
Well, they said as long as I got it by a certain date, so I showed up this morning with that file, because it said by 6:30 to whatever, and
No, that's, the application has to be made so it can be put on the agenda.
Okay.
And-
Well, I was on the agenda though, because I'm here, correct?
Well, you're here,
thought
but
we were getting
the issue that we were considering was the demolition, not the windows.
Now, the state took
We didn't know
over
about the
this
windows.
demolition,
All
so
right.
basically, they've taken that demolition from Dartmouth, and the state is running that show.
No, the state didn't take over the demolition. The state recommended a contractor who turns out to have violated his contract.
Well, he should have had some paperwork brought to the town of Dartmouth to have it filed with the other item, because since the house was demoed, if there was any paperwork in the files, there should have been a note in the file for this house that was demolished for the,
Yes, there
lead-
should have been.
lead, then we wouldn't be going through all this. And there
Yep.
would be documentation as to, now, really who dropped the ball was building. Building should have.
No, building didn't drop the ball. the contractor who said he was taking care of all the permits and didn't is the one who dropped the ball.
Did they get a permit from Acushnet or something, or?
No,
He just didn't do what he was supposed to. Jamie, what do you have to add to this mess?
All right, well, I'm hopefully, let's try to clear up the mess, I think that's.
great.
All right, your permit is isolated. It's the windows, that's it. Although in 2021, you've made an application to do some work, but that got waylaid due to all the lead issues, right? So,
Yeah, and leaching, she wanted,
okay, so that's out there, okay, it's just out there. You're principally here because of the window application. Even if we're sympathetic to you and we're to agree that, yes, that's a safety issue, especially with a child, you want safe windows so children aren't falling out of windows. Even if we were to say yes to that, are you still blocked by the other contractor not properly getting the permits to move forward? Does he have to get
Yes.
everything settled on his end?
That's the
before you-
problem.
So that's the problem.
Well, I thought, coming here, I thought that that's been resolved, because I was weeks ago, I thought that's been resolved, and that's why I'm here,
Okay.
to continue on.
Okay, so it hasn't, that leaves you in a
waste
difficult
your evening.
position, but that needs to be fixed first,
Okay.
doesn't it?
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, okay, okay.
I couldn't agree more.
You wish you didn't come, right?
I really, I'm working 6 days a week and nights, and I'm like, oh,
To wait through all these other people.
Yeah,
okay. I'll skip supper for this.
Anyway, your hands are tied until he does something, is that right?
Normally, they're not gonna issue a building permit until the old building permit is closed out. So, there is an application for a permit, that for Pacheco
Yeah,
Steve,
you just
right?
put it March 26th.
Okay, so I thought that's been resolved, that's why I'm here, for the windows, to talk about that specifically, because, so, I guess, do I need to come back after all this gets resolved?
If it's only 3 windows and it doesn't constitute 25% of that elevation,
Okay.
then I am thinking no.
that from our point of view, if it really isn't 25% of that elevation, we can say, yeah, go ahead, even though we haven't been asked.
Right,
That's the other issue.
because that's where you would, on those things, you would say, yes, it's 75%, 75 years or older, but you are not changing more than 25% of any one elevation.
That's, it's 25% of each elevation,
Correct.
yep.
So you're not changing more than 25%.
Well, I'm changing the windows to the existing windows, and so, I mean, if, the siding has already been removed because it was lead, so I would say those windows are definitely less than 25% of that area.
So that's not going to be something that you would need to apply
Okay.
to historic for, but I don't know what Steve Pacheco is applying for.
I think
I need
to,
to
to,
go
to
back.
take down the building, that's already been
It's
taken
already been
down.
taken
Okay,
down.
that's what I
I
thought I
think that's what
understood.
he's doing.
Okay.
So what well, basically, I have to wait until all is resolved, until a homeowner tells me that this has been resolved. And, because I don't have anything to do with these other problems.
We really need to have Steve come.
Yes,
Here.
and I thought Michelle was going to tell him that. That's what happens when you trust somebody else to do something.
Is anybody gonna send, Steve a, email, requesting him to, bring in some finished paperwork?
I think we need to have a talk with Mr. Pacheco. Unfortunately,
I'm glad I'm not Mr. Pacheco.
Yes.
yes. And the issue is, of course, because he's already done it, we could say you can't do another damn thing for 2 years, which would then mean the window problem. I think the window problem is an emergency.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
And I think we could express that if we chose to the building department and say, this house is not safe for the kid. Let them put the windows in. and then we'll see where we go. Now, Pacheco wants to deal with an addition. We could still say you can't put on the addition if
Well,
that,
Pacheco don't wanna put on addition. I want to
Wants
put
to
on an
put on,
addition at
okay.
some point, which I will take all those steps that we need to. That will be upcoming when she gets through, or this stuff.
well, I guess it's a discussion with Dave Brunette among other people. So what is your pleasure? How do we,
I like
should-
the approach you have.
Should we maybe make a motion to have the emergency window, windows be allowed?
I think it's worth a try.
That we suggest it to the building department that we would want that to happen because it's so critical.
it's a safety issue, really.
It's an emergency repair, a recommendation is a emergency, a recommendation
But we
for
do
that.
not,
It's his call.
as we await
Resolving
a
the
visit
issue
from Mr. Pacheco.
of tearing down a part of the building without permission.
So I make a motion that we approach the building department with the suggestion that we allow the windows, or we support the idea that the windows can be replaced for
Three
safety.
windows.
Three
Three
windows.
I'll second that.
Okay, are we ready to vote on that one?
Yep.
All in favor?
All right,
Opposed? Okay, so that's unanimous.
Which, thank you very much for that. But
Yeah, well-
this still doesn't give me permission to go ahead and build yet, or do I still have to get okay from?
We've got to straighten out the building issue, and that's a separate issue, and you're going to have to come back to us, and you're going to have to fill out the proper historical commission application to do that. But we need to resolve this issue over the fact that the thing was taken down, and ultimately decide whether we will allow building to continue. Because there've been other cases where people have taken down things without permission. We said, tough luck, you've got a 2-year lien on your property, you can't do anything because you violated the law. And so we need to deal with this issue, but that involves hauling Mr. Pacheco in here, I think.
That building was so decrepit and falling apart. That
I
the
could see
vines-
that.
The vines were actually holding it together, so I couldn't imagine myself, I don't know the situation, but I couldn't imagine trying to de-lead that woodwork and without it just deteriorating, and I think that's what Burnett told me, he told him, when he returned a call to me and said, well, this is the steps we're gonna take next.
Yeah, this is where we go. But the building department could have said, okay, this is an emergency, that piece of building is going to fall down. They have the right to do that, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree that they should have asked permission instead of, forgiveness, yes. Yep,
Yes,
I agree.
Exactly. So I will talk to the building department and express to them our feelings that we think you ought to be allowed to go ahead and put the windows in. But the whole matter of outside siding and an addition to that house are yet up in the air.
Yes, yep.
Does that work for the moment?
I think that's helpful.
Maybe.
It's the best we've got.
And I can understand this was an issue where the lead abatement needed to happen. But that guy could have marched right in here and said, we have this emergency, there's lead.
I wouldn't have done what he did.
Thank you. But, yeah, I mean, he could have resolved it
Oh, yes.
immediately, and he
Yes.
didn't.
Yep. I tend to call Dave or get him on a job with any questions of anything. I get fire chiefs in there to point out smoke detectors before they get inspected, before the rough, so I don't have any issues. I try to prevent problems before they arise. Pacheco did not do that, obviously.
And if he comes from Acushnet, maybe he just doesn't understand Dartmouth at all, which is a problem for contractors who work in Dartmouth, as you can appreciate.
Yep.
But in his defense, there aren't a lot of lead abatement contractors on that list, of which he is one of just a few.
Yes, and that's fine. All he had to do is say, there's lead in the shingles, we need to do more. Before the fact rather than after the fact. That's the problem. I had a long discussion with my son today about another issue. And he works in the Boston area, and he said, well, in this town they do this, and that town they do that, and the other town they do the other thing. And unfortunately, that's part of your responsibility as a contractor, to know what the rules of the town you're working in. And that's what I'm saying about Pacheco.
But even when you do, know the laws and do every step right, does not mean you will not have issues.
Of course. As I have a sign in my kitchen, life is what happens when you're making other plans.
We did a job in Westport, and we did everything right. We went to historic, we did everything. We got the building permit, we show up, I know better, we put the permit on the thing, and then a lady comes over as soon as we arrive, screaming and yelling, I'm the president of Jane Lowe's, I'm president of historic, you gotta stop everything, you don't have permission to do this. I said, we've done everything right, here's the paperwork. Where's the paperwork from historic? I said, I have it at the office. You have to have it posted on site. I stopped everybody. I went to the town. They said I did not have to post that paper. She gave me a copy of it because I didn't have it with me. And Jane Lowe's actually signed off on that project. So even when we do things right, I have to stop my job with irate.
That's
it
interesting,
still
because I
drives
just
me
can't
crazy.
imagine Jane Lowe's being irate about anything.
Believe me, she stopped my whole, we had 5 guys
buddy.
there with, and she stopped everything.
She's now
stopped.
left town, so,
Oh, I know, and when I showed her the paperwork and went over to the house, because she was a neighbor,
Yeah.
when I went over to the house and said, you signed off on it. She said, I signed it without knowing what I was signing, and shut the door on me. So, I mean, even when I do things right, sometimes,
we all make mistakes. Thank you for being,
There's an old Amish saying, you have a little person, a little power, you got a big problem.
so this is a rough problem,
okay.
and it's not one we've ever encountered before. The only other time we really had to deal with a person who took something down illegally, it was so clear-cut that he just wasn't going to pay any attention to the law, that we felt that house, that property deserved a 2-year lien. And that was years and years ago. Okay, so you go home and relax, and we'll try to get through all the rest of this.
I can eat dinner, all right.
And we'll see you again, apparently, if you,
Yes,
if we go
looking forward to
forward.
that on a better circumstances, I hope.
Well, it's not your fault.
Thank you guys very much for at least trying to make a difference with safety for the family, so we appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate that too, and it's true, you could tack baby gates in front of the window if you had to, but that's not a solution.
Okay, we're just screwing pieces of wood on to keep things going out right now. That's what we're doing for her, so it's kind of secure, but we'll work on that.
Okay,
We through?
Yes.
you're through.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everybody.
We are now going to take up old business, being as how it's already almost 8 o'clock.
Good night.
See you next time.
All right, look forward to it.
Or not.
Okay, so Bob Harding, can you speak briefly about DHAS?
Briefly. Well, I would say the meeting we had Sunday was a very significant meeting. We had
That was
standing-
yesterday,
Yesterday, yes. We had standing room only,
yeah.
which is a very rare thing when we have our Sunday afternoon programs. We had 2 videographers there, one of whom is making a documentary nationwide basis of preserving Native American heritage. And the place was called L'Orange, and they were getting footage for their documentary.
And very carefully getting signed releases from the
Yes,
people
I got
who
all
had
the-
spoken.
All the paperwork done.
Yeah, very, very
that
properly
needed to
done.
get done. Likewise, on Wednesday last, DHAS presented a 2-hour program at the library, North Dartmouth Library, about building out the Quaker infrastructure in Old Dartmouth to a group called the Second Half Learning, which is a sort of a older folks educational program. And we're in the process of drafting a paper for the New Bedford Whaling Museum magazine called Vistas. That's on its way. We're doing some work on a house known as the Prince Allen House, better known more recently as the Edward Jordan House, which is a house on the east side of Allen's Pond, right on the end of Jordan Road. Everybody knows what Jordan Road is. That burned down in 1894, and we're doing some documentation to trace that house history. And we're trying to find out information about the fire that burned it down. We have a picture of the fire of the house. You sent me that picture. And pretty significant
Alan,
old house, built in 1724, in that old section of town. That's enough for now. Well, that's short enough.
okay. CPC,
We did almost nothing but budget stuff, and I gave an update on the archaeological reconnaissance survey update, the fact that it had come in at the right dollar figure and was beginning, and just a brief update, that was about it.
okay.
And you're having a meeting about new APR guidance at tomorrow night's meeting, are you?
We're not having a meeting tomorrow night because it's, they canceled it
Oh,
for
I see.
the town meeting.
Because it's election day,
Oh, right.
okay? The next batch of Form Bs and their funding.
Okay, that's me. Well, I drafted a memo which I sent along to Judy and to Chris. It's an RFP for work to be done. Just to quickly summarize, the RFP, we're requesting to do 25 historic buildings or structures for a sum of $10,000. That's our ask, based on about $400 per survey. And addressing it to Mr. Gary Carrero and Mr. Robert Galvan. There's both the treasurer and the other fellow is the advisory committee, and CCing it to Sean McInnes. And this is what, I think, Judy, did you not say, looks okay, looks good?
It looks okay to me.
Okay, and Chris said it looked okay and good. So I'll forward this along to all the other members, okay? I'll email it to you. This is what we propose sending and having a meeting and doing our ask for 10,000. We're keeping it 10,000 at or below 10,000, so we can do a sole source bidding rather than open bidding. And hopefully they'll approve it. And then and this is for 2024. And then it'll go to the fall town meeting if the powers that be approve it and pass it along. And I think I had another thought.
But you haven't communicated with the head of the finance committee.
That's what this is sent. This is what is being sent to him. This is the big
This
ask.
is the head of the finance committee, not the town treasurer.
Well, my understanding was it would go to the treasurer and the finance committee,
Okay,
okay?
yeah.
So that's who's addressed at the top of the memo. Doesn't matter if, I think the right person's going to get it. And in the email that this will be attached, we'll be asking for a meeting. We'd like to meet with you regarding the following, okay? That's, I think, how we handle it. And Chris, refresh my memory, who was it on CPC, aside from John Sousa, who was
an advocate of us getting some of our money. Who else, was he on the finance committee, or was it Brock who was on the finance committee?
He was. I don't think Brock is. And Brock's not on the
I-
CPC anymore
I know, I
either.
saw that,
Yeah.
yes, okay, so it's John Sousa who's
Right.
on the
Yeah.
finance committee.
I believe it is.
Okay, so
yeah.
this is gonna land in his box too, when it's distributed by the, okay.
Well, but it needs to go to the chair, whoever
Well,
the
I know
chair
that, but I
is.
meant, the chair will distribute it to his committee folks.
Yes.
And John Sousa is one of those, so that's why I said it would land on his desk. So, yeah, well, there we go. Is this a done deal and launch it? Well, everybody wants to look at this, right? Why don't you all look at it, and then, just so you have eyes on it, and if it's all right with everyone, we send it.
Yeah, I thought it was very thorough and, you know, it laid out the process for how Form Bs are done and why they're done, and it had referenced, you know, back to all the supporting documents at, Mass Historic. I
Okay.
thought it was good.
Okay.
So the next batch is 25 Form Bs at approximately $400 each to
Yeah.
come in at under 10 or under.
Just right at 10. I mean.
Okay, that's what the 400 was calculated as, I
Yeah, right,
assume.
Yeah, so we're right there.
They don't get a calculator for the.
Yeah, that one I can do in my head. Okay, so that's hanging for the moment. Okay, the Thomas Plummer Memorial plaque is somewhere between the building, the veterans agent and the DPW,
Yes.
and that's,
And Judy, after I spoke with you this morning, I then called Tim Barber and left him voicemail saying I'd like to hear from him before our meeting tonight, but I didn't have a reply.
took him 2 weeks to get back to me.
Right, but my question to him was simple, that we would like to, or my ask was simple, that the commission would like to have the plaque taken down, and we would look after it, it would live in our office, and that's how we'd like to proceed, so that it's in a safe location until further action is taken. So we'll
We
see.
just have to remount it to the bridge.
Well, no, we're gonna do something else. We're
Well, the
gonna.
American Legion is involved in this, by the way.
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
in the American Legion, and we're trying to get that off the bridge and then mounted correctly on the cement, not,
That's what Jim Barber suggested, that it be mounted on the cement.
there isn't enough room on the cement abutment any longer. That's why they put it on the railing.
No.
But we, as the Historical Commission, would like it to have a more appropriate home, and those monuments from that period were typically placed on boulders, granite boulders, and that would be in a more appropriate historical response.
Well-
And I've been dealing with the Veterans Board in addition to,
I've been in the American Legion for 25 years,
Yeah.
and that has been brought up.
are you on the board?
Before,
Are you on the board?
I'm not on the board.
Well,
I'm
it's been
just
brought up
telling you.
with board members, all right?
Well, fine, well, the board members
And they wrote a
should-
letter of support.
I'm not gonna argue with you.
Yeah, well, don't.
I'm
Yes,
saying-
There's nothing to argue about.
At any rate,
No,
it's,
you are pushy
it's still hanging.
direction. We're not gonna put that plaque in our office. It's gonna go back on the bridge where it belongs. Now, when the bridge was replaced, they took it off.
Yes, I know that.
And then they put it back on, back in the day. So. are you
In a
telling-
rather careless manner. That's the
That
problem.
plaque doesn't belong on the railings. It needs to be properly mounted in a respectful way.
Yes.
And that's the goal of what we're doing.
Oh, what you're doing.
The Historical Commission.
We're talking the American Legion here.
I'm
It has
talking to the
nothing,
Veterans Administration.
We're talking to a whole bunch of people, and so far, that's part of the problem. And when we get it all together, it's possible that it may be.
what?
You need to talk to your board members. If you're not on the board,
I'm not on the board.
Well, then talk
I'm
to
a
them.
retiree of the US Navy, and I'm an American Legion, and we
Member.
have meetings on Friday of the first of the month, and that bridge plaque has been brought up numerous times, and I'm trying to help out, try to get it placed properly. I don't know how the veterans agent got involved in this, because there was a big unsettled thing between the American Legion and the Veterans Agent, so.
And the
Well, I'm
DPW
not
ultimately has to approve
I'm not aware
wherever
of all
it
that
goes. So,
background or history.
yeah.
Those are the people who I've been dealing with.
So at the moment, it's in limbo, frankly. We were going to talk about preservation goals, but it is now after 8 o'clock. We have also of immediate concern the solar installation. We also need to talk about the term facade on the new website because the term facade is not in the bylaw. And so that's something else we need to talk about. How much of this do you want to do right now?
I think we need to talk about the word facade elevation immediately so that we can tell Chad to change it immediately.
Okay. The bylaw says elevation. It should be changed to elevation. And that should be fairly clear to describe. What you see from the street is the front elevation. What you see from the back is the back elevation and so forth. And maybe he can make that quite clear.
It also needs to be very clear that it is not the totality of elevations, that it is 25% of any
each.
one or
Yeah.
each. Those words must be included so that people are not confused about whether to answer yes or no.
Would you like to talk to Chad about that?
I'd be happy to.
You maybe speak his language more than I do.
I will call him tomorrow.
Okay, very good. Chris will call Chad. Okay, do we want to launch into preservation goals tonight, or do we want to talk about the solar installation because you want to lead a field trip, or somebody was?
Well, I was contacted by the senior archaeologist from Powell who's in charge of that project, and they began work today and offered for anybody who would like to go out there and visit the site while they're working in the next week or two. Anybody who'd like to could go, so I said I'd bring it up, and if there was any interest, we can try to find a common time. I don't know if there could be more than one visit, if we can't figure that out. I don't even know who's interested, so if I could just kind of get a sense of if anybody would like to go, that's the first step, and then if there's several people, then we could coordinate.
It appears that the cemetery that has on some maps been shown, perhaps on that property, is the cemetery that is in fact nearby but not directly on the solar farm property.
Would anybody like to go visit?
I can't walk, so.
I would, but I'm still working, so it's subject to my schedule, that's all.
Okay. Well, I think I'll go out there, at least check out what they're doing, just even,
When do you intend to go?
I was gonna check the weather.
Okay.
And, maybe next Monday?
Why don't you plan to do that? Next Monday, I'm flying to Bald Head Island. Why don't you do that and report back to us?
Okay, so I'm gonna do a solo field trip unless somebody else wants to come on Monday.
Okay, I'm going to be in the air.
I just want to add that this had come to before us previously, and as a result, because of when I started to look at that property, I suggested to Holly that it be included in the archaeological reconnaissance survey, and then this came up because New Leaf was willing to pay for an intensive. So this is more or less taking it off her plate, but it's also gonna be incorporated into the
Their
survey
study.
that she's doing, yep.
Which will be good, because we'll
Yep.
get a good study of that area.
Yep.
Okay, so the solar situation is taken care of, that's taken care of. What is your pleasure with regard to the preservation goals as they're now on the new town website? You want to postpone that till next time?
It's a pretty hefty document. Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
I think it might work if everybody could write
Look
down
at
their
it.
thoughts and come
Prepared.
prepared next time. Let's have it be the first thing, even before old business. Maybe that could be old business.
It will be.
So,
It can go right up to the top of old business.
but if everybody could bring a printed out set of the goals and have notes on what they think, then we could have some meat to discuss.
I think that's a very good idea.
Basically, we all have to do homework and show up prepared,
Okay,
or it won't be a very good discussion.
okay. Is there any other business? Yes.
Just quickly, has the window passed for our section 106 review regarding the Crossroad proposed work we were gonna make? We discussed it last meeting, making some comment and review as it might impact.
Crossroad.
Yes, this is the engineering firm
Yeah.
from Providence, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know if we,
We
that-
talked about it at the last meeting, yes.
yeah, and we all needed to look at that and weigh in on it. But I don't know if that window has passed and we've gone past the deadline for review.
I think we've gone past the
Okay, so
deadline.
that's
I think
just-
our discussion last time was sufficient. Did anybody go to the new discussion of the area between Vaughn's Corner Road and Hathaway Road?
Yes.
And what was the upshot of that?
They are not going to, right now, they're not going to have Hathaway Road connect to Tucker Road. They're going to do another, they're gonna add a traffic light at Tucker and well, there's one at Tucker now, but there's gonna be one at Hathaway. And they're gonna be doing some different synchronization. I guess these new traffic lights can actually sense when cars are stacking up. So they'll work in conjunction, supposedly, work in conjunction with each other and should alleviate that problem. They're going to, and the suggestion from the safety officer was to take a lane away from heading east and add a lane going west, because that's where I'm sorry, just the opposite. They're taking one from the west side and adding it to the east side because there's just way too much traffic coming off Vaughn's Corner Road and then heading east. So they're gonna have 3 lanes on the east, heading east, and 2 lanes, well, that was the recommendation, they were gonna be looking into that. And there will also be 2 lanes coming into State Road from Hathaway Road, so that if you're gonna turn right, you can turn right, but if you need to move over into the turning lane for Tucker Road, it'll make that easier as well, and sort of alleviate the traffic on Hathaway Road, or some.
And didn't I also read that the access to Champion Terrace is going to be limited?
Well, that wasn't a very popular, it wasn't popular, and certainly not for people who live on Champion Terrace, who have to
No.
make a U-turn every time they go out that road, so I think they're gonna revisit that as well.
Okay. Well, that's certainly what happened up by the mall when they cut off the access to,
Hicksville?
yeah. And there was a great deal of fussing, but they did it anyway.
Yep.
And so everybody who wants to go up that way has to make a U-turn. But they will revisit that, okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'd like to make a motion that we cancel this meeting for the evening.
Yes, a motion to adjourn. That is not just debatable, I think. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
What are the words, so.
Okay.